to the Valentine's Day is here in a couple of days. So this talk is, I thought befittingly would be on love today. But before we talk about love, I want to share a little bit of love here. February is also Black History Month. So I wanted to take just a minute to honor those New Thought ministers who have the African-American or Black New Thought ministers who have impacted my life in a very positive way. First, I'd like to recognize Della Reese. I attended her church several times at the Beverly Hills Hotel when I lived in Los Angeles. And she was an amazing, inspiring, I don't know, just love, just enjoy, just like vibrated all through the entire room as people just sang all the songs and danced. And it was a wonderful experience. Dr. Johnny Coleman. I met Dr. Johnny Coleman from Chicago when I went to the Chicago CSL gathering in 2004. And she was known as the First Lady of New Thought. And she was the head of the Unity Church in Chicago and started an entire movement and has her own ministry school as well. Dr. Elma Lunston, she is celebrating 40-year anniversary of the Temple of Light CSL in Kingston, Jamaica. She studied with Raymond Charles Barker in New York City and Stuart Grayson as well. One of my close friends, Michelle Senegal, that I met in ministerial school, she was part of the CSL Baltimore and head of the diversity committee. And of course, our beloved Sheila Pierce, Reverend Sheila Pierce from the Center of Peace in Philadelphia, who passed away in 2017. But I did get the opportunity to go over and be a part of their practitioner ceremonies a couple of times. And she was just absolutely amazing. And of course, Tawana Malone, who took over after Sheila Pierce, was also a good friend of mine and one of the practitioners who went through Sheila's program and now is the head minister of Center of Peace. Dr. Fran Sion, she is the founder of the Oakland CSL and founded that church 30 years ago. Dr. Arthur Chang, who was the second full-time minister at the Founders Church in Los Angeles. He was born in Kingston, Jamaica. So yes, so and that wonderful voice of Deanna Warwick this morning, all recognizing Black History Month and feeling that's important to celebrate our diversity, celebrate our oneness, right? Which that's what love is. So Ernest Holmes says, I've heard this, love and God are synonymous, right? Same thing. And through the first talk I gave in January, love rules through law, right? Love points the way and the law makes the way possible. Well, with love, there is always the opposite, which is fear, right? It's the yin and the yang. With light, there is dark. I was raised in a family where love, I don't know, also seemed to always come with a smack. I love you. Don't ever do that again, right? And even the word God, G-O-D, was a confusing word because I was raised in a family, a staunch Christian fundamentalist family where there was a wrathful God with a bolt of lightning in the 10 Commandments. And so G-O-D was not a real pleasant word for me either. So I've had to transform that over the course of my studies in spirituality, right? Not so much religion, but just spirituality, right? And so what is love? To me, it's an action word, right? Reverend Nancy Hobby-Lau had a definition for love that I will always remember. And to me, it's number one, and it's what I want to always remind myself of, and I want to share it with you. The infinite, eternal self-givingness of good to all of creation, right? What is love? Love is the infinite and eternal self-givingness of good to all of creation. Wow, it feels limitless, right? It feels expansive. It's always bringing more and more good, right? In Buddhism, we rarely see the word love, but we do hear the word heart. And we hear a lot of things about actions that instill a sense of love, such as kindness, kindness towards self and others, compassion and caring, genuine presence, genuine caring, active listening, thoughtful and considerate words and actions. We have the Heart Sutra. The Heart Sutra is about spreading goodness and joy and well-being, dedicating our lives to being of benefit to ourselves and others. That's love, right? That's love. That's the richness, the fullness, the allness of love that is a part of who we are, and being bold enough to being willing to take a stand for it and share it with the world, right? What is the power of love? The power of love unites. It accepts everyone right where they are. It transcends conditions and heals. It empowers and strengthens. It uplifts and encourages. It inspires. It gives new life. It dissolves barriers and boundaries. And it sets forth a new freedom for all. Whereas fear and faith, pretty much the exact opposite, right? And both are always present in our world. It's ours is to which we put our attention on that becomes what we are more of in our world. Fear or hate, which is a form of fear, separates and isolates. It sickens and disempowers. It weakens and destroys life. It builds walls and it creates a sense of being boxed in. So both available where we put our attention and the way we choose. It's a choice, right? It's a choice. Faith is putting our power to believe in something good will happen. Fear, putting our power to believe that something bad will happen, right? So again, it requires some practice. Well, the title of my talk was Loving the Unconditioned, right? The Unconditioned. So it's, in the law of attraction, you hear often people will say, I'll believe it when I see it, right? Most people in our country think when I can hold it in my hands, when the money's in the bank, I'll believe it, right? When in reality, it's when I believe it, I will see it, right? And to believe it before we see it takes a sense of imagination, right? An ability to go beyond the conditions of what is. Unconditional love, this is Abraham Hicks, is not trying to love someone exactly as they are. It is seeing them at their highest potential, regardless of where they are right now, right? So conditions are not so important, right? They're merely the launching point of where we are right now, right? They always change to match vibration. When we see the highest potential, we raise vibration, and therefore we make the space for the conditions to naturally begin to improve. I love this statement. Unconditional positive regard. I heard it a while back, and it comes from the idea that no matter what you do, you can never do anything that will ever cause me to feel anything less than the very best for you, right? Unconditional positive regard. Nothing you can ever do would ever cause me to think or feel anything less than the absolute very best for you. And that takes some discipline, right? And where do we get that? Well, it starts with ourself, right? It starts with being able to care for ourselves, right? Be kind to ourselves, right? Self-aggression is the number one form of neurosis in Western society. We beat ourselves up. And why do we do that? Well, I was often scolded and treated with a sense of aggression whenever I screwed up, messed up, did something wrong, or didn't listen, right? And I do that same pattern to myself today. Not near as much as I used to. But when I make a mistake, I'm my own worst enemy. I had a captain one time. We got to the airport, And as we walked into the terminal, we had just been dropped off by the hotel shuttle. I realized I didn't have my badge with me, and we were in Edmonton, Alberta. And the two flight attendants, they looked at me and they said, "Oh my God, you idiot. That's so," and the captain stopped him right there, said, "Stop. He's beating himself up enough. We don't need to make it any worse. We need to support him and help him get through this. We'll go to the gate. You go back to the hotel, get your badge, and we'll meet you there." Well, I turned around, I ran out the door. The shuttle was still there. I was able to stop the shuttle, get on board. We called the hotel desk clerk. My badge was hanging in the closet in my room. He grabbed it, came down. He met us out front, handed it through the van window. We drove back to the airport. I was at the gate 10 minutes after the rest of the crew. So took some imagination there. I had to see myself at that gate on time. But that's that process of self-love, right? Loving others, allowing others to be exactly who they are, right where they are. You know, to get where we want to go, we first must be okay with where we are right now, right? Which means I often have to not make anything a problem, right? Make nothing a problem, allow everything to be, it's okay, because it is what is, right? And to get beyond it, I must be able to release it, relax. If I push against it, I'm stuck because it's pushing back. So I've got to stop pushing and just simply allow it to be. I love Einstein's quote, "Imagination is more powerful than knowledge, for knowledge is only knowing what is. Imagination is what can be." It's the seed in the soil, right? We have an idea, something that we know has the potential of being, and yet it's still not in form. And when we are able to begin to practice good self-care, being kind to ourselves, being able to trust ourselves in making good choices, listening to our own inner guidance, and trusting it, believing in ourselves, knowing who we really are, we naturally begin to be able to do that in other areas of our lives. We naturally begin to do that for other people. We're able to believe in them and to trust in others. When I have problems trusting other people, the root of that is I have problems trusting myself. When I see things I don't like in other people, it's only because I have that same pattern within me. If you spot it, you got it, right? It's being able to allow that to be okay and to transcend that and to know the absolute best for myself, to see myself at my highest potential. I've got a wonderful story. A minister friend, and I'm not sure, it might have been Dennis Merritt Jones, but he got a telephone call one time that his son had been in a motorcycle accident. He rushed to the hospital, ran into the front desk. They pointed him towards the intensive care unit. He looked through his window and there was his son lying out on the bed in a horrible condition, just wrapped up in bandages, on life support, unconscious, broken bones, a cast on his leg. And he began to cry because it looked like his son was going to die. His internal injuries were told to be extensive enough that there was a good chance he wouldn't survive. Well, this minister knew what the power of love is. He left the hospital. He went across the street. He found a park. He went into the park, sat on a bench next to a flower garden where there were butterflies and birds. And in this beautiful environment, he began to do a spiritual mind treatment. He began to know that God is all there is, that love is all there is, that it transcends all conditions, that which God is, that which love is that which he is that which his son is. He began to see his son up and walking around and enjoying life and out riding his bike and having an amazing experience, right? Living long and prosperous. He stuck with this treatment long enough until he could feel it in his bones, that what he spoke about his son was the truth, and that truth had to manifest. When he went back over to the hospital and arrived at the intensive care unit and looked through the window, his son was sitting up in the bed with his eyes open, and like the entire color of his face and everything had shifted, and he was filled with life, and he knew right then and there that his son would survive. That's the power of love. So I'm going to end with this quote that Mary Ellen shared with me. Love is a mighty power, a great and complete good. Love alone lightens every burden and makes every rough place smooth. It bears every hardship as though it were nothing. It renders all bitterness sweet and acceptable. Nothing is sweeter than love, nothing stronger, higher, nothing more fulfilling in heaven or earth, for love is born of God. Love flies, runs, and leaps for joy. It is free and unrestrained. Love knows no limits, but ardently transcends all bounds. Love feels no burden, takes no account of toil, attempts nothing beyond its strength. Attempts things beyond its strength. Love sees nothing as impossible, for it feels able to achieve all things. It is strange and effective, while those who lack love faint and fail. Love is not fickle and sentimental, nor is it intent on vanities. Like a living flame and a burning torch, it surges upward and surmounts everything. That was by Thomas Kempis. May you all go forth and through your own quiet contemplation, discover the presence of love at the center of your being and find the courage to share it with all the world. I love you all. I bless you all. And so it is.